Welcome back here, everyone. So, as you all may know, I'm not a big fan of CBR. I think a lot of the crap that they put out shows how much they just pander, and it's really ridiculous and embarrassing most of the times. But that being the case, even a broken clock can be right twice a day. And CBR has put out an article that I must say I really think they hit the nail on the head with this one. There's one in it that I have a little bit of a controversy with in regards to what they said. I'm not completely disagreeing with saying that, but everything else, I think they hit it. I think they hit the nail squarely on the head. The article is 10 worst trends in modern comics. I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to tell you that they've actually pointed out some of the absolute correct things that they should be talking about in regards to this. And let's get into it. At number 10, some comic books are clearly written to be TV shows and movies. Now this is absolutely true. You tend to see it a lot with what's happening in regards to mainstream comics. Now, ever since the success of the MCU and to a lesser extent the DC extended universe, you tend to see that happening a lot. I've spoken before about how movies and TV series and these things should mimic the comics, not the other way around. But that's what's happening. A lot of the comics that they're writing now seem like it's made for a certain season of a TV series. And that should never be the case. Even the things that they're doing in the comics, it's like these writers are thinking, okay, how can this best be seen on a TV screen? How can this best be seen in a movie? What kind of budget do we have to do certain things in regards to this space? When in reality, the only thing that limits comics is really your imagination. That's pretty much it. That's all that really limits comics when it comes to your imagination. I remember Chuck Dixon did an interview once, and he was saying that when he was writing Batman, he and some of the others would sit down and talk about what could they do with the Batmobile? How could they make the Batmobile cooler? Still keeping it in mind that yes, it is a car, it could do something, but they wanted to really push it, and they would throw out ideas, see how it could work, and then they would incorporate some into it. And this is it, because the only limitation that they had was their imagination. They were writing comics for comics, not writing it to be turned into a TV show or a movie. No, if that does happen, okay. But when you're writing a comic book, it should be about your imagination and expressing what you have there. Not writing anything, but okay, this is probably going to be a TV series, or I want this to be a TV series. Let me put this how it is. And as I mentioned before with the MCU, you tend to see that a lot. They change certain things in the comics to fit the MCU, which should never happen. And what they're writing now, especially, you see that a lot, especially with Marvel. When it comes to some of Marvel's comics, they are written in such a way, like this is going to be season 1 of this comic. This is going to be season 2 of this, and this is going to be season 3. That's it. And it really does kill a lot of what the creativity could be when it comes to comic books. At number 9, decompression is okay, but comic readers still like shorter arcs. Okay, let's take, for instance, Superman, Son of Kal-El. Tom Taylor took like about 15 or 16 issues to defeat one opponent. That's it. One bad guy took 15 to 16 issues. You have Nightwing, who's dealing with some serial killer in his book, like he's heartless or something. So for the longest while, this has been dragging on. You keep seeing it in regards to these comics, where they keep dragging out these arcs for as long as possible. No, when comics used to be long term, a certain arc involving a villain or something like that would probably last maybe about 5 or 6 issues, And you would wrap it up in such a way that, you know, those 5 issues, each one would be paced in such a way to make you interested in what's going on. But no, they cram so much garbage in there that have nothing to do with the actual story that you're trying to tell. Just in an effort to drag it out for as long as possible, because the majority of these writers know that they're probably going to get cancelled sooner or later. So they try to stretch these things out as long as possible. And readers lose interest in it. They get tired, they get sick, they're not interested in doing it, in following these things for the long run, because they don't want to be boggled down by a bunch of nonsense. A short story arc could lead into a next one and lead into a next arc and lead into a next arc. You could have short arcs of certain things here and there moving along. You could have a 6-issue arc with this villain, 6-issue arc with this, and you know, so that readers could keep engaged as they move along. You don't spend 2.5 years telling one story and then expect people to be interested in it because you've been pushing a bunch of nonsense in there that nobody cares about, just to wrap it up lazily at the end. Come on. Readers are going to be pissed off and they're going to walk away. Okay, number 8. The comic industry has seen its genre whittled away. Now, this one is a little controversial because in regards to what I mean by genre, this is something kind of like something that DC had a real hold on, not so much Marvel. Marvel has always been about their superhero comics and their superhero things. Okay, DC has dabbled in other genres related to comics. They've done war, they've done horror, they've done some drama, these kind of different things, right? Now, in regards to that, it's kind of a scale. You could have some of these stories being told, but not have them related to your main comic book universe. But the majority of them can't do that because they want instant gratification, so they don't want to give these stories time to build. Now, you get a lot of these different stories in different genres, whether it be war, western, horror, whatever, in like indie comics. You also get a lot of it in like manga, because manga has pretty much everything. They have romance, they have war, they have other world, all kind of different things they have, right? But in regards to this, you tend to see what's going on where they have a kind of niche problem with doing it, where they don't do these stories, because DC used to have like Sergeant Rock and all kind of thing, other stories going on separately from their main universe. They don't do that anymore. Anything that they do, they want to tie in to the main universe. Marvel doesn't do that, so Marvel that sticks to their superhero stories, so that's it. So that's why I said a little controversial in regards to me. I think if you want to do some of these stories separately, okay, but don't have them tie into the main universe, then you could do it, it could work. But they don't do that, and that's the problem where they have things. So it's kind of a balancing scale, kind of a, maybe it might work, maybe it might not work. But in my regard, if you want to do it, don't tie it into your main superhero universe. That's going to be where you're going to start to destroy yourselves. Number 7. The shrinkage of ongoing books leaves little to invest in. Yeah, because this is an ongoing problem. As I spoke about in the one like number 5, I was talking about how most of these books, they have like these long drawn out story arcs. But what really happens is that a lot of these books get cancelled, and you see that a lot in cases like Marvel. That tends to happen a lot. I mean, you have Miles Morales constantly being rebooted. Every few months there's a new number 1. Ms. Marvel is like the queen of reboots. I mean, Ms. Marvel has been rebooted probably like about 9 times in the last 2 or 3 years. Every time they keep coming out with a new number 1, putting her with some other people. And the fact of the matter is that there is nothing of these characters are not well liked. All you just keep trying to do is just try to pawn them off on some other character, hoping to build them up, or just give them this ridiculous power boost, and nobody's interested in it. Miss Marvel is not a liked character, but you keep having to reboot her books because it's not selling. Same thing in regard to Miles Morales. Yes, Miles Morales got some fame because of the video game and the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. But overall, people don't like the character because there's nothing about Miles Morales that sets him apart from anything. I've said this before. You've also heard Young Ripper say he's just basically Peter Darker. That's it. In regards to DC now, what happens with DC is that they tend to have their writers stretch their books out over long periods of time before eventually getting them cancelled. And then they try to pawn them off into a short miniseries here to make it feel like, oh, it hasn't been cancelled before they just inject this rejected hero into another storyline and try to play it off like it's something that was always planned. It's not. The fact that these books keep getting cancelled means that these characters and these writers cannot hold water, and they refuse to admit it. So people have very little to invest in because all you're doing is just taking away what it was done. I mean, there's a Black Panther run going on right now. They already cancelled that. They cancelled that because it's not working. You all don't know how to do it, and the fans are not being invested in these characters because there's nothing of substance there for them. Number 6, okay, the multiverse is fun, but there can be too much of a good thing. This is 100% true, and I've spoken about this more than once. I like a multiverse story every now and again. I have no problem with a multiverse story every now and again. I think, okay, we have a multiverse story here that you're doing. It could work. It could work once in a while to see a different version of something. But as I've said before, do it once and done. If you absolutely have to do it again, I mean absolutely 100% have to do it again, it must tie in to an ongoing story arc. And when it does, then and only then would it be, will it be interesting? And then after that, never do it again. Never do it again. But the problem with it is that they don't want to stop with this multiverse thing. Look at Marvel. There is far too many spider people all over the place. Everybody's a spider person now. All over the place, everyone. This one is a spider person. That one is a spider person. This one is a spider person. That one is a spider person. All over the freaking place. You get the same thing with DC. DC just brought back their Infinite Earths fairy tale because what it has become is an opportunity for everybody to write any crappy thing that comes to their mind, and then that part of us saying, well, no, it's a different world. It cheapens these characters. When you have a whole bunch of spider people all over the place, the original Spider-Man, it is ludicrous. When you have a whole bunch of Supermen all over the place, the original Superman doesn't matter. And it keeps going on. You keep doing all these different worlds, and it will confuse your readers because they don't have a central world to focus on. It's just anything that pops into somebody's mind. They just tell them, okay, well, you know what? Take this world and do that. Take that world and do this. You get a world, everybody gets a world. To the point where it becomes overly saturated and it's absolutely stupid. So you invest nothing in these characters. You have nothing to invest in anything. It's just empty. Too much. Cut it out. Number 5, it's time to admit the superhero families are too big. This could not be more accurate. If you look at a character like Batman, Batman started off as a lone vigilante, dark, brooding, all kind of thing. Now Batman has one of the biggest families in comics. Pretty much everybody Batman has, you got it. I'm not saying that with Cat or some of these things, but a lot of them, they just never stop. You have like, 2 or 3 Robins. The only Robin that ever actually evolved and made a name for themselves was Dick Grayson. He became Nightwing. The rest of them can't seem to do that. We have Jason Todd as Red Hood, but that's kind of a controversial thing in itself. I'm just saying, too many. Look at Spider-Man. I mean, even if you look at this picture that they have here, all of these things, you have Spider-Gwen, you have Miles Morales, you have Scarlet Spider, you have Silk, you have Black Cat became a spider person when she's like Night Spider, something like this. You have what kind of Venom Spider? It's too much. And when you keep bringing in these large groups of people, That one because of it, everybody's just getting ill. I mean, if you look at even Marvel again as I talk about it, how many Captain Americas are there? After they did that whole Captain America run, I think it was last year before it was going around finding all kind of different Captain Americas, a whole bunch of them. You have Falcon back as Captain America. Why? Nobody likes it. The book isn't selling, but they're still doing it. It's too much. It is growing too large because you all just want to be cheap and just piggyback off of these characters and just make your own versions of them. And the more you do, the more you cheapen the validity of these actual characters. When Spider-Man was interesting? When it was just Peter Parker. When Superman was interesting? When it was just Kal-El Clark Kent as Superman. When Captain America was interesting? When it was just Captain America, Steve Rogers, or one and only, that's it. But the more you keep putting in, the more you cheapen these characters, the more you keep trying to build these big superhero families that don't always work. But they just refuse to stop. Number 4, this is a good one. There's no good reason any comic should have dozens of variant covers. Now, I understand that there are certain collectors who buy comics just to collect the covers. Okay, you understand that, but it's a very small niche audience. When Gen 13 came out many years ago, I don't remember the moment, and they had 13 variant covers, that was considered plenty. A cover, and they did a Superman comic that they had 26 covers for that. You think that's plenty? No. When Dan Slott did Iron Man, he had like 47 or 48 variant covers, all for different armors. You think that's plenty? No. When Dan Slott also did Fantastic Four, he had over 70 variant covers. It's too damn much. There's no reason for these comics to have all these variant covers. If you just want to have 1 or 2, maybe 3, okay. Look at ISOM, for instance. When ISOM dropped late last year when ISOM dropped, there were 3 covers for ISOM. Cover A, cover B, cover C. That's it. And the covers were just there because they wanted to showcase different things. So there's 3 covers. That's it. Like I said, if you want to do 2 covers, maybe 3, okay. But the minute you start making over 70 variant covers, who are you really appealing to? You've already turned away the majority of your audience, as sick to their stomach of everything that you're doing in regards to the comic. But you're telling them, no, listen, we're making a bunch of variant covers to appeal to some kind of niche collector audience that probably isn't going to be interested in anything going forward, and eventually these people are going to get fed because it's that small minority of them, a small group of them. But your large reading section is sick of it. Too many variant covers because you just want to put out variant covers and then act like, this is something really spectacular that you're doing. Look at this cover, look at that cover. Come on now, man. The more you put out, the more you just cheapen it. 2, maybe 3, and you're good to go there. That's it. Fans miss a world that wasn't quite so Batman-centric. Yeah, I talked about Batman earlier. Batman started off as the lone, brooding vigilante, very dark or kind of thing. Now that's the thing about it. That has gone from DC now, and everything is dark and brooding in DC. If you look at the DC movie universe, one of the biggest problems I had with it was how dark and brooding it was. You see the same thing in the comics. Everything revolving about the main book that sells at DC Comics is Batman. It reaches to the point where you can't sell anything else if you don't have some tie-in to Batman. I told somebody recently, I was speaking to the comments, I said that, they talked about DCs, that is DC, even all kind of zombies and all kind of this. I said, the reason people even got interested in that was because it had Bat family members in it. They told me, well, most of them already died. I said, well, okay, but that's what brought them in. If you don't have Batman in something, nothing else sells. But the problem is now that you have changed everything to fit the narrative around Batman. So Batman is no longer special. I like Gotham City. Yes, it's dark and creepy and all that the other. It fits Batman. But when you start seeing that bleeding into everything else, how special is Batman anymore? Superman has always been a hope and always been, something to aspire to. That's who Superman has always been. You're not doing that. Everything now is just pretty much Batman related. You have Wonder Woman, have a dark tone like Batman. Green Lantern, dark tone like Batman. Superman, dark tone like Batman. Flash, dark tone like Batman. It's getting ridiculous. Elevate your other characters so that Batman remains who he is, and that whole dark ruling thing is what makes Batman special. It must not be everywhere for everything else. Number 2, deconstruction stories have long outstayed their welcome. Okay. Now, if you're not aware of what it is anyway, deconstruction story, it's that if you tell us, it's like when it is you see they tell a story where it gives a different view that, maybe the city or maybe the world or something isn't quite as perfect as it was, that there is some sort of underlying problem here. They even do it with heroes from time to time. One of the person who mastered this was Alan Moore, telling stories where we kind of break down your heroes a little bit and then build them back up even better than they are. It shows that So when you break down these heroes now, and then you tell a story, a unique way of doing it. They have started doing this in modern comics to the point where it's just terrible. That's the only way to put it. Terrible. They don't even attempt to slightly break down these characters to build them back up anymore. They just pretty much destroy them. So when you're looking at some of these so-called heroes now, you're sitting there thinking that these people are some of the worst bastards you've ever seen, which doesn't work. You have heroes like Spider-Man, Superman, Captain America, who are symbols of hope. Their very existence is to make people feel like, this is something hopeful that they can do. There's something that they can aspire to and grow towards. When you keep tearing down your very heroes in that manner, and there's nothing to build them back up, and the sick thing that it is that they're really doing is that they're making the villains more sympathetic than anything else. So you're left now with people wondering, okay, the villains seem like the actual ones who have been taken advantage of, and the heroes are some disgusting, wicked bastards. And you're wondering, how is this actually making any kind of sense? You understand me? So you're trying to get some idea of what is going on, and it's not working. You cannot destroy your heroes and then act like, this is somehow storytelling at its finest. No. Like I said before, they would break down their heroes a little to build them back up. That doesn't happen. By the time they have finished destroying these heroes and then attempt some kind of build back, you are so sick of it at that point, you just don't want anything to do with it anymore. The deconstruction is just ridiculous, and this needs to stop. Your heroes are your heroes. Leave it at that and stop trying to force nonsense. That's all. Number 1, and this is 100% true. Too many comic events will turn away many readers. Exactly. You have some of these comic events that have become, that's all that these comics have become about, just event after event after event after event. You have an event going on, and you will have 2 or 3 different stories involved in that event. Some events, they never even finish before they start another one. You started off a Spider-Man event. You haven't told anything about it anymore. Yet somehow you've already jumped into dark web. And you're setting up for another event after that. You have DC Comics had their big, Dark Crisis event that wasn't an event. It did absolutely nothing other than bring back the Infinite World so they could go out and tell more crappy stories. And then that in itself led right into our next event, which is going to lead into another event. which will lead into another event. There was a time at Marvel and DC when events was something that you slowly built up to, and they made sense. In regards to DC's Dark Crisis, when they had this event going on, they had other stories going on at the same time. So you didn't even know. You had they had this whole thing with Justice League supposedly died. And meanwhile, you had Superman off on Law World playing Gladiator. You're like, what the hell's going on? Even at Marvel, when they have these so-called big events going on, they have other books running concurrently. And you don't know what is exactly going on, what's matter, what nothing. X-Men took Hellfire and Gala, so that happened years ago once, and they've made it into an ongoing thing now. A literal ongoing event where they put the X-Men in drag and parade them out there for everybody to see. Event after event after event, people are getting event fatigue because it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any sense. Like I said, there was another time when an event would happen every probably 3 to 4 years, and they would slowly build up to, and when this event happened, it encapsulated the entire universe. All of DC, all of Marvel was happening while this event was going on. Everything was tied into this event. They don't not anymore. They just keep putting out event after event and figure out that, you know what, this is going to be enough to just bring people back. It's not working. There's too many events that nobody gives a crap about. So that is it, people. The top 10 from CBR. Like I said, I am shocked by this, but CBR actually hit the nail on the head with this. They've put out 10 events. Like I said, it was one that I found a little controversial, but other than that, all of these are really 100% true. These are the trends that are destroying modern comics. Whether or not anybody at Marvel or DC listens and decides to stop, well, that's a different story. But CBR has put it out here, and I must say they are 100% correct. These are some of the worst trends of modern comics. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.